Casey, can you hear me? Oh, this guy's off.
Craig has to install stuff on my computer.
Yes, I can hear you, Karen.
Okay, good. Thanks. Can you hear me?
Yep.
This guy's off.
Well,
So I'll just,
if I can turn it to you. Yes, I can hear you, Karen.
Okay, good. Thanks. Can you hear me? I'm just trying to rearrange my calendar here. I was going to do it one way, but the sun was too bright behind it, so I'm going to move things around a little bit.
Yes, I can hear you, Karen.
Okay, good. Thanks. Can you hear me? I'm just trying to rearrange my. Let's see here. Okay. Are we all here?
No,
Is Jen there? She just texted and wondered if, have you let her in, Casey?
I haven't seen her come out. It hasn't popped up. Oh, here we go. Here I
Okay.
got her. Sorry.
She texted me and said she wasn't in, so. okay.
No, I think she probably is. But I don't have Dwayne or Cindy.
I just sent Cindy the link and she said she had it, so
Okay.
hopefully she couldn't find it there for a minute, so hopefully she got it working. She said she had it though.
Hey. It just let me in, but it doesn't have a video or anything. It's just,
You don't.
yeah, because mine just slipped on. Now it says I'm Drew, but I'm logged in
Yeah.
as me, so I don't know what the deal is. So I know it said it'll let me in, and then it automatically let me in, and it. I muted it. Okay.
Still waiting, Karen.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Everybody here?
No, we're still waiting. There's Dwayne. Just okay. He should be coming in.
Okay.
Still no Cindy.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, it's Jen.
Yeah, Jen, I can hear you. Drew?
Yep.
Okay, the video is not working for some reason, and I was just on the phone with Dwayne.
Yep,
And
I
he-
just got on.
Okay, good, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should I call Cindy real quick? Oh, uh-oh, I think that might be her.
See, that's
I'm getting a ding.
her.
Yeah,
Hey,
have we
Tiffany?
started the Zoom meeting? I'm not in yet. It just says it'll start in a few seconds.
Yeah, tell her to hit the try again, because they
Okay.
did that with me.
Okay, I will. I think, she's probably downloading the Zoom onto her computer. Sometimes it makes you do that. It wants you to do that, I guess.
Oh. There is a video, Jen.
Yeah.
I know, but it has Drew's name for some reason.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no try again button on her page. Let me see if she's down.
Oh. I better just have her click on the link again from the email.
Okay. It says, no, now it says post attendee. I don't know what that means. Should I send the link to her again, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Is she clicking on the link that's on the agenda or no?
I sent her that link that had the from Mary's email that had the
Yeah.
link to the actual meeting.
Mhm.
So I'm not. Huh. Oh, she's sending me something back now. Your meeting should start in a few seconds. Okay, she's getting there. Good.
There, Sydney's iPhone. Let's try.
Maybe her computer doesn't do the video very well.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, she's on the iPhone, so.
Yeah, it's not coming in on the Chrome at all.
Huh. There you go.
That's probably simplest.
I got a Zoom meeting tomorrow, so I'm gonna have to call Craig and say, hey,
Yeah.
gotta get this downloaded.
So I think now we're all here, Karen.
Okay, great. Welcome everybody to the Carroll Community School District School Board meeting for 4/27/20. Good to hear everybody and see everybody. First of all, for meeting tonight, we need to approve the agenda. Any questions, concerns?
I'll
Is
move to approve the agenda.
there a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Annika,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes,
Jennifer,
Yes.
Dwayne,
Yes,
Karen,
Yes. Okay. Consent agenda. Any comments, Cindy, about the bills or questions about that?
they were well explained and all in order.
Very good. Gary, any comments or?
nope,
Already?
We have a couple of resignations, or three, I guess. I'll share those.
Okay.
Diane Renicky wishes to resign from her accounts payable coordinator position June 30th. Diane has worked for the district for 14 years. Andy Essens wishes to resign his student information specialist position at Carroll Community Schools effective May 22nd. Andy has worked for the district for 2 years. And then Sharon Byer wishes to resign from her contracted bus driver position. Sharon has worked for the district for 21 years.
Okay. And, okay. There are no items to withdrawn from the consent agenda, so do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
I
Second.
second. Pick one.
Got it.
Cindy,
Yes,
Jennifer,
Yes.
Dwayne,
Yes,
Karen,
Yes.
Annika,
Yes.
Okay, moving on. Public forum.
I didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't get anything
Oh.
in my email, and Gary said he hasn't received
Okay.
anything.
Okay. All right. Moving on then. Personnel report. Approval for employment.
Yeah, we have one tonight. We have one recommendation for hire. Sue Ruck is recommending Michaela Henriksen for a strategist one, special education teacher position at Adams Elementary. Michaela will be a spring 2020 graduate of Western Governors College out of Salt Lake City, Utah, with a bachelor's degree in elementary education, K-6 and an instructional strategist 1, and also a K-8 endorsement. She completed her student teaching in our district with Denise Regaler and Melissa Ehlers at the high school, and was student teaching with Lindsay Conley in 5th grade at the middle school prior to the school closing. If she's approved, she would be on step 0 of the BA lane of our salary schedule. This would be $37,976, total salary, a base salary of $31,775. And the approval is recommended contingent upon receipt of a valid Iowa teaching license.
Okay. She has looking over her information. Looks like a great candidate. And I think we remember discussing her education earlier about her special education background. Anybody have any comments?
No, it sounds like she really likes working with those kids, special ed kids, from her resume.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, she does a lot of volunteering with that as well.
Mhm.
So I really think that's a great hire here if we approve her. Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll move to approve the applicant.
And I will second.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Wayne,
yes,
Karen,
Yes.
Annika,
Oop, we lost Annika. Oh,
Yeah.
she's on mute. She's on mute.
Oh. Annika.
she's trying to talk probably.
Yeah, see if she pops back up.
can she give you the thumbs up?
I can't see her.
I can't either.
No. I don't think she has a video on either.
Yeah.
How about Cindy?
Yes.
Okay,
We'll try to get her back here.
Yeah.
Says she's on, but it shows she's muted.
Yeah, I'm not
There she
sure
is.
what's going on. I lost my screen.
Okay.
you're
So,
in favor of the hire?
yes,
Okay,
Yes.
thanks.
Great. Okay, administrative report. Casey?
Yeah, the first item A is on the resolution adopting multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan. And this is Region 12 contacted me about this, and this is the resolution. They have been working in collaboration with Carroll County Emergency Management Agency and the City of Carroll on the hazard mitigation update for its Crawford County. And I lost my spot. The plan needs to be updated every 5 years to be eligible for FEMA hazard mitigation funding for safety projects or for recovery projects after a disaster were to hit. Working with cities and counties, the plan's drafted and the adoption process is starting now. And so they're asking school districts that are included in this to approve this plan as well. You can see that it's a multi-jurisdictional. You can see the different counties listed there. And so it doesn't require us to spend any money or commit to completing any projects, but it represents the opportunity for projects to be completed if grant funds become available. Sometimes, I remember several years ago, there were FEMA dollars available and schools built storm safety shelters in their districts because of those funds being available. So it doesn't commit us to anything, but by doing this, should opportunities arise, this allows us to participate and maybe access funds should we choose to.
Now, Casey, this has nothing to do with the, I guess, the agreement or the meetings you've been having with, say, DMAC and Kemper and that protection, no, nothing
No,
coordinated with
no.
that. Okay. This is more FEMA and national.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Let me see, where I am. Do you want a vote for this as well?
Yeah, so what you're doing is adopting this resolution that basically says that that the Carroll Community School District Board adopts the Carroll, Crawford, Greene, and Sac Counties multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan.
Okay,
Well, I'll move that we pass the resolution adopting multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan.
I'll second.
Wayne,
Yes.
Karen,
yes,
Annika,
Yes,
Cindy,
Yes,
Jennifer,
Yes.
okay. Now we have the principal reports. You want to do your report first, Casey, or do you just,
Yeah. Yeah, I'll jump in and get.
I always
mine done.
skip you.
I have two things that are fairly quick. The other one will be, it has a little more meat to it. But the first, I did want to share, I did receive, we don't always get this, so I want to make sure I shared it. I did get in the mail today or over the weekend, a thank you card. It says, Dear Dr. Burlaw, we want to express our sincerest gratitude to you and the school board for allowing us to continue to be paid until further board action. We value our jobs and our paychecks. Thank you to all who are making the decisions for our district. We are thinking of you and we appreciate your leadership. And that's respectfully Denise and Jessica Mowry. So I want to make sure I shared that with you because we often make difficult decisions and feedback we get isn't always on the positive side. So I want to make sure I shared that. Also, I wanted to let you know that we have been, the administrators, Jerry, Crystal, and I have been meeting with AEA staff about our special ed program for next year, and we're getting things in place to have that up and running next year. Recently, we've been working on establishing the criteria that we want to use to identify kids to be served in that program. So it's been valuable to have AA involved in that as well. And we're in the process, kind of the next steps where we're at is we're going to look at we think we have a couple spaces that may work. And so we're going to look at those this week and try to get a decision made on which one would serve us best. And then we're moving forward. The teacher that we had a teacher on staff that requested a transfer to this position. Her name is Rachel Wittry. And so she will be the teacher that we're going to have in that role, that teacher role in that program. She is a special education teacher. This year she is teaching 5th grade at the middle school. So that's an update on that. And then the other thing, and this is the one where I'm going to ask for some feedback from the board on this. As you know, the board, I had brought this to the board, the idea of hiring a director of teaching and learning for next year. We had applicants, we had done the screening and actually identified some folks to interview. And then this whole COVID-19 thing kind of hit, and we we kind of pushed pause on it for the time being. And so we haven't gotten back to that yet. And the big thing is that I've been looking at here recently is just, does it make sense financially to add this, given the fact that we know that we don't fully understand the economic impact of the state yet. And so through some help from Forecast 5, I ran a couple scenarios, and I just wanted to kind of share a little bit about those, some financial scenarios. And what I did was, this is the one I want to show first, but I ran, so the things that are possible that could happen should the state have some economic issues is, they could say this happened several years ago, but they could cut us I don't know, 10 or 12 years ago, the DE cut us, or the state cut us by 10%. So I ran a scenario with that. Something else that could happen is next year when the legislature is in session, they may say, we just don't think we can commit any new funding to schools, so we could get a 0% increase. And so I kind of ran a couple of those scenarios just to see what things would look like. Because as we've talked, you want to look your decisions, you want to see what the impact is, 4 and 5 years out. And so I want to just kind of briefly talk about that. This one, what I have right here is a 10% across the board cut, if the legislature should do that. And so some of the assumptions that are in here is assuming that we hired this position. Okay, we hired the extra administrator to be in that role of director of teaching and learning. And with this one, enrollment just being flat, so no increase, no decrease. So if you look at this report that you see, can you see, do you see a spreadsheet on your screen?
Yes.
Okay, so this is in the general fund, this is like a projection. And so what this report looks at is our fund balances, so like our cash position. And you can see that in with a 10% across the board cut, which would likely come sometime during the year next year in fiscal year 21, you would see that we would deficit spend according to our fund balances by a little over $1 million. And then you see what that does going forward in terms of the negative number. So each of those years through 2025, we would deficit spend.
Hey, Casey, I have a question. Casey,
Yeah.
I have a question. When you go forward up to like 2022, 23, 24, are you factoring back in a little bit of additional funding, or what's the funding going on in those future years?
Yeah, so the 10% across the board cut would be one time.
Yep.
And then I think the assumptions here are like a 2%
Okay.
increase in funding each year.
Okay, all right.
And then, so if you look at, so in fiscal year 23, for example, we would, here's our revenues, here's our expenses. And so we would overspend by 185,000. Now, if you look at the end of the year fund balance, what we would project it to see, and you follow that across, you can still see, like this year, we project it to be at 7.9 million. And as you go forward, you can see it drops down to 5.7 million. Okay. So you can see that the impact that it has on that. Now, if we look at the unspent balance worksheet, we kind of do the same thing. You look at the big thing that we pay attention to is this unspent authorized budget line. And so you can see in fiscal year 20 what we show, fiscal year 21, which is where that cut would come. So it drops it, but then you can see it goes back up, drops a little there, and drops a little there. So in fiscal year 25, you don't see a huge difference in where our unspent balance would be during that time if you compare it to 20. Okay. So that's one scenario. And then let's look at if we did no increase to state aid. Okay. So this screen right here that you see is just the assumptions that are included in this model. So you can see the enrollment just kind of staying the same. Same as the last one. So if we look at the same reports in terms of our fund balance, so you see in fiscal year, and this is no, so 0% increase to state aid in fiscal year 21. You see that 417,984 is the we would overspend there. And you can follow that across, and not as big a numbers that we overspend until 25. But then you look at the into the fund balance, and you can see not quite as big a drop as in the last one. I should say the last one I showed you too was the 10% across the board cut, and then I think it also has I'm pretty sure it also has 0% for next year. So it has both of those things in it. Okay. Then you look at the unspent balance worksheet, and it's kind of a similar story as before, where in fiscal year 20 we're at 9.1, and there's not really a dramatic decrease over that 5-year period. A little bit, but not a crazy drop. And then I try to think of like a worst case. I don't know. I'm sure we could think of something even worse than this. But so what I did on this one is I showed us dropping 40 kids next year, which would be a pretty big number. And then 10 each year after that. So, okay, you see those two lines there.
Yep.
And then it also has the across the board cut. So it's got all of those things. If all those things would happen, well, what would it look like? And so you can see a big drop in, or a big chunk, a big overspend in fiscal year 21, and then a little bit smaller. This would probably be mostly because we'd be on the budget guarantee for because of the enrollment drop. That's why you go from $1 million to 106,000.
Oh.
And then you can see what it does throughout there. But then also this the ending fund balance, you see it would go from, in 20, it would be 7.9 million to 4.3 million.
Hey, question for you, Casey, before you flip
Yeah.
off that.
Yep.
If you go up there, just slide it a little bit so I can see the left side. And if you look under the expenditures, I guess I want to know, what are you factoring in here for salary increases and benefits? Because it looks like the numbers are going up a little bit.
Yeah, good question. Yes, it is factoring in.
I mean, we're
increase.
factoring in cuts in funding and increases in pay and
Yep.
benefits. So, I mean, you're definitely putting out the worst case scenario, which I'm glad. I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just driving across the point. If it would go to that severe of a level, I don't know how realistic that's going to be to factor in some of the increase. And I don't know what the increase is. I'm kind of curious if that's 2%.
Yeah. It's 1.5%, I think, on salary, and then
Okay.
I think insurance we had going up. I think I have going up 5.5%, which
Yeah,
that's kind of what we're at this year. So
yeah. Yeah,
That's,
okay.
that's it, but it does have those factored in. That's a
Okay,
good
I-
point.
and for the other board members that haven't worked with these, that's kind of why I brought it up, so they can understand a little bit the dynamic that's going on there
Yep.
with that.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Dwayne.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
this is good information.
That unspent balance then worksheet, and then this wraps up these scenarios. Fiscal year 20, you can see we go from 9.1 million to 7.6. So the most dramatic impact on our unspent balance would be those things would have to happen.
Yeah,
'Cause
and that's still a good ratio on that.
Yep, yeah. So really financially, I think I feel there's probably support to move ahead and hire that position. But I also know that, we're in just kind of an unusual time. So I kind of wanted to get a sense of what the board, what your thoughts are on if you would like to see us move forward with filling that position, or if you would like just to be a little cautious and see what the next, several months bring, and then look at it in a year from now. Yeah, that's kind of just, I was just kind of hoping for a little feedback on what you.
Casey,
Yeah.
this is Jen. Regardless of the financials, because it looks like we'd be okay if we hired at this point. My concern would be to hire someone at this point with not having an active school for them to see. Part of them coming is that they need to have a buy-in to the district, that they like the district, and it's hard to do that when you don't see what's a district is functioning at because they're closed down.
Sure.
That would be my concern. Another concern that I would have is that we have we have Sue retiring, that leaves with a lot of experience, and we brought in a great candidate, but that might be a hard transition to have two of those really important positions filled by new people in 1 year, instead of maybe having a year under Patrick's belt before bringing on another new position. That's the only concerns that I have is, I would like for them to be able to see the district and to have a discussion with you and kind of have a vision of what they see that position doing, to see if it kind of matches up with your vision, Casey, and the board's vision of the district too.
Okay, yep, those are valid points.
I just want to comment, I guess, I would like somebody to kind of weigh in the need. How strong is the need? Are we at a, from a scale of a 1 to 5, are we pretty high on this need at a 5 level, or is it a 2? And I know the fact that we're talking about having the position, that there's a need there, but I guess I'm looking for maybe a little more harder look, because I'm okay with hiring the position. I guess I put it this way, I don't want to not hire this position if we're really in a critical high need. So that's kind of where I weigh in on it, is like, and I guess we need to rely on our principals and some other folks. I know we've talked about and this is an area that I know we need to put more focus on and funding on it. I don't want to short that at all, but I don't want to get us in a position either too where, we're having to make some cuts on the road.
Yeah, I agree with you, Dwayne. I make sure I'm not muted. There we go. I just think that, we've demonstrated that this is something that we think would be valuable for the district. But there's so many variables right now, financial and organizational, that I'm not quite sure that, waiting a little bit might not be the best thing, just to make sure we find out where we really need to focus and have this person address issues. And having brand new individuals coming at the same time might be a little bit stressful. So do we need to have it? Is it more of a want at this time, or is it actually a need and an emergency need? I'd like to, like you said, I'd like to hear from maybe some of the principals also to see how they view it. Would it be very helpful at this time? Do they feel stressed? Would they really like to bring someone right away, or do they think it might be more helpful in a year?
Sue and Tammy are on, I know. I don't know if Sue or Tammy has any comment or not.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This is Tammy.
Hi, Tammy.
Thank you for asking for my input. I don't disagree with anything that's been said here. This would be an extremely helpful position. I personally have not been in the position of having to hire virtually. I think that I know in past hires I've made, to me, it's just as much about a good fit for the person as it is for us. And I believe that that's a little bit difficult to determine, or I would think it would be more difficult to determine if I didn't have that person with me and able to show them around and answer questions and get them to see what our district is like and meet the people here. Though it's certainly beneficial to be able to have the option to interview virtually, it's just not the same. And I think it's kind of a combination of want and need right now. But I think the situation we're in right now has caused for us to have to focus on so many other things currently that it's just been very difficult to imagine how we could make that happen right now. I appreciate the board's support in a position such as this because it will be very helpful. So I hope that helps.
Is this a position that could be filled mid-year? That would
That
make
was my
sense.
question.
Oh,
We're thinking alike, Cindy.
Yep, that's scary.
it's, I think it might be a little more difficult. I don't, it's probably not impossible, but people would be under
Already
contract.
filled. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, shoot.
I would say the same thing. I think hiring mid-year, when you can start looking mid-year, maybe
Yeah.
January or February, but a lot of if you want somebody with experience, possibly in some field in something that would benefit, then you would want to begin looking
Yeah.
end of January, beginning of February, and that gives you time to get organized. And I know the online, we've done a lot of interviews with over Zoom and Google Meet, and it is difficult. Tammy's got a valid point there. I also think, we're kind of exploring what our instructional coaches are doing, trying to make that package tighter too. And I think it isn't going to really hurt things, the process going on. I trust my colleagues and, Dr. Burlock can get this. I don't think we're not going to take extreme steps at this point anyway. So let's just kind of ride out what they know. They can always, there's lots of good consultants out there. And, honestly, if somebody needed to give me a call about something, I would help out. I'm not going to, this is my love, my district love. So, I think patience is golden sometimes, and rushing through, we might not be the best answer for right now, but that's my personal opinion. And remember, I'm not on the team next year, so you
Yeah.
can take it for whatever you want. I'm a taxpayer next year, so whatever.
Oh, you were a taxpayer this year too.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
Anyway.
we'll welcome to the other side.
Yeah. No comment.
I think her resignation should be voided out.
You know, with regard to the hiring timeline, are we even kind of a little late right now? The fact that we haven't, hired, I mean, I know you've been doing some interviewing and some looking, but have we, in essence, maybe missed some really good candidates because we kind of were a little late coming to the table with this?
Yeah, it's hard to know. We had applicants, we had interest in it, and I felt like this would be almost a month ago now. I mean, I felt like we had 4 good people
Yeah.
lined up to interview. 2 of those have gotten jobs, which I knew that we'd run that risk.
Yeah.
So it's possible, Dwayne. It's possible. But I mean, I think that's a question, legitimate question to ask. And I think, mostly I'm hearing it might be best just to let's just kind of wait and maybe look at it as we go forward. The timing is off because we are really focused on, that was one of the big things, is we just weren't ready to interview people. We just hadn't, we'd looked at the applicants and we had went through that process, but to really, my biggest fear was bringing those folks in and not being able to answer questions well that they had. And because I don't
Yeah.
think we were able to focus on that enough as a team to be able to move forward with it. So that's
Mhm.
kind of why we waited, and it's been hard to get back to that just in light of everything that's been going on.
I think I'm good with holding off for a year or revisiting this in about October, November.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. We have so many things coming up and so many challenges here as we move forward. I really, to add another one on, I think just to be a little too much.
And we want the person we do approve to be successful.
Yep.
And to just do this on the fly just would not be kind to anything or anyone. So
Okay. Well, thank you for the conversation and the feedback. And I think that's I think I understand. I think I got good information from the board and know how we need to proceed. And that's all I had for my update.
Thanks, Casey.
thank you.
Sue, you're up, looks like. She's muted. Is she on mute?
You're muted, so if you have anything to share. Sue, you're muted.
I know, I see that now.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. I'm just gonna kind of quickly go through the sheet I gave you. We're doing the about half the kids are taking the online version. So teachers plan in their PLCs 2 different lessons. They have the online site with the IXL and that. And then we have our packets we mail out on Thursdays. Last week we had 340 packets go out to preschool through 4th grade. It is appealing to have every day we get more people, parents buying into the handouts. And I can understand that because it's easier for them to manage. Putting a child on, IXL, very often you probably wouldn't sit right by them in 3rd or 4th grade, but giving that paper copy, I think helps. And teachers are looking at reading, writing, and math and really structuring really good lessons, both online and paper. And we have about 13 volunteers that come in on Thursday morning. Karen Sturm starts printing at 8 o'clock, and at 8:45, we start inserting the packets into envelopes, putting the labels on. In addition, not only do we have that basic grade level packet, but we have Title I packet can go into a student's box. They write the name on or into their envelope. So it'd be Title I, special ed. Specials give us activities for the week, EL, G&T. So we have to kind of look and balance looking at each child individually to see what packets, which inserts they have in their envelope. So I think it's going very well. We're basically going to go, Thursday we'll print from Monday the 4th and the 11th, and then we're kind of gonna go back the week of the 18th with less academic packets, but still doing academics, but kind of tone it back because that's what we would have normally done that last week of school, fun things, summer activities, types of things, but not as much academic focus, maybe a little less academic focus. So we're going to do that. Then the relationships, we have a lot of teachers doing Google Hangout or Google Meet online, meeting with classes all the time. We have postcards that they can grab and address for students. So we try to maintain those relationships. And then the last one's about Into Math, and I'll just wait and do that part, when we get to that item on the agenda, if that's all right with you. And then one more thing, we have done a lot of interviews. We've probably done 15 interviews online. It's a little different process, but it's easy to get them scheduled because everybody's kind of around. So we don't have to, work around our school schedules or anything else. So it kind of works out nice. So it's, we've taken the best advantage of it. Like I said, maybe around 15 so far online. And we're still going this week yet with some of our associate positions. So anyway, that's all I have. Any questions?
No,
Okay, thank you.
Sounds
thank
good.
you, Sue.
Thanks, Sue. Great. Is Mr. Raymond on? I didn't check.
No, he's not.
Okay. You want to move to Miss McKenzie?
Mm,
Is she?
Hi, everybody. I'm on.
Hey,
Hello.
hello.
So because I'm trying to create some sense of normalcy, which is near impossible at this time, I tried to format my report similar to what it would be if I were fortunate enough to be sitting in the boardroom right now in your presence. Since I'm not able to do that, I went ahead. Dr. Burla, are you controlling the screen right now?
Yep.
If you could go beyond that page, go to page number 2, please.
Gotcha.
And I tried to give a report on each one of those 4 areas of focus, just to show you how it looks in a virtual world and the ways that we have been challenged in order to continue to try to reach our goals in those 4 different areas. As far as parental involvement, a lot of that communication has come from the superintendent's office. Yet we also have been communicating on a building level. One of the biggest proponents of communication for our seniors has been Mr. McCartan. He has done an exceptional job of keeping senior parents and students aware of scholarships and deadlines, and has been facilitating even Zoom meetings between the scholarship givers to students who have applied. And so you think about even that element of it. Typically, we'd be planning right now for all of those people who award these scholarships to be sitting on the stage right now, walking up to a microphone. And we are so grateful for those opportunities for our students. And so we've had to figure out how to make that work. Another way that my teachers have been working extremely hard to reach out to students, and high school students can be a little bit challenging, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. And I don't mean they're challenging, I mean this distance learning has been challenging because of their age and their other responsibilities that they have right now. But one of my teachers said, hey, I invited all of my parents to my Google Classroom, and I'm starting to get a higher participation rate for my students. So once the parents were aware of what was expected and going on, participation rates rose a little bit. I have encouraged all of my teachers to make sure and really reach out and become available so that parents know that we are there for a resource and we are there for their children. So I just sent a mass communication out to all 9 through 12 parents this past weekend to help facilitate the way that they can make sure that their students are connecting with their teachers. So we'll see if that has impacted our numbers. I have teachers collect numbers at the end of each week to see how our participation rate is. As far as the social emotional, that has to be a component for every single communication that we make, because none of us are used to this type of situation that we've all been placed in. And it does affect how we think and feel and go about our daily lives, because we're used to the routine of the school bell and the 42-minute class periods, and walking in the school at a certain time and eating lunch at a certain time, and that's just not there. So teachers have been very good about having their first question be, how are you doing? How's everything going? How's your family doing? Questions like that to help the students realize how much we care. Student engagement, I went ahead and, there's a distinct difference between when it's required learning and it's voluntary educational enrichment opportunities. So I went ahead and put the DMAC courses on there and the amount of students who are participating for those instructors. I have talked to each one of those instructors and they've said it's going extremely well, that the students are resilient and participating and doing a really fine job. And I will give a lot of credit to our instructors and to DMAC for working with us. Our instructors have been doing a form of online learning for the past 10 years with these students. So it was an easier transition than had we not been doing that. As far as the voluntary educational opportunities for students, our participation rates have fluctuated and varied, but I think we all need to keep in mind that many of our high school students are essential workers. There aren't too many grocery stores that you don't go into right now that you won't see a high school student, many high school students, and they're working some 40 hours a week. So we are very grateful for them to be able to do that. They do participate when they can, and as I said, it fluctuates. The teachers create 2 opportunities a week. They're available for virtual office hours 2 times a week. And some have had some really great successes with our students. Climate culture, much like what Sue said in her report, I believe I'm in constant meetings all the time with different departmental groups to discuss challenges, successes, any questions they might have in regard to grading or different types of communication. So that was about the only thing I could tie to climate and culture, since it is our job to also take care of our instructors. They are also managing multiple things right now too. So helping support them throughout this time. I don't know if you had time to look at it, and you don't need to click on it now, Casey, but if you at some time click on that online virtual information, it is where I house all of the information that I send out to my teachers on a weekly basis. I don't know if any of you have had a chance to look at that, but there are about 6 or 7 slides on there. And rather than me sending teachers multiple emails every day, I just house everything there, and they can go to that document and get whatever they need. So I encourage you to look at that. You would have to use your carrolltigers.org account in order to see that. I also included a couple of celebrations. It's interesting, you forget that every single thing is virtual now. Even History Day was virtual. And we had 11 students from Carroll High School advance on. I included their names. Mrs. Borchers did a nice little write-up there for me. These kids are so talented, and it's just a shame that a lot of these things have been taken away from them. That being said, thank goodness they've given them opportunities to still compete. That being said too, on the next page are the Raccoon River Art Honors. And I would also encourage you to take a chance to look at that presentation of some of their artwork. They went ahead and put that together for me to show to you. These students have created some pretty strong works of art, and I'm really proud of them. They've been working outside of class, finishing those up for their senior studio. So anyone have any questions on my report? I sure wish that we were all sitting in the boardroom right now.
Yeah.
So Tammy, I just had a question about how are the students feeling? You know, when they talk, when they give you feedback, what's the general, I guess, overall emotional feeling that they're providing for you?
That's a really good question, and I think it varies. We've had lots of meetings, IEP meetings with parents and their children, and I'm really happy. They seem to be doing very well. We have our counselors, and Mr. Leslie and myself are available too if there are certain special circumstances that kids need support with. I worry if we haven't heard from someone for a while, so we make special point to do every single thing we can to try to connect with them and make sure that everything's okay and they don't need anything. And if there is something they need, we can provide it. The lunch program that Sarah Anderson and our cooks and Dr. Burlaw and everybody else that's involved with that has been a tremendous way to help stay connected with our community. And so taking all of those different things into consideration when we think about our students and making sure they have their essential needs, we factor all those things in. It's hard for kids. This is what they do every day. And so it's been an adjustment for all of us. I thank the board for having given us the ability to have computers. Honestly, for those students to be able to get on a Google Meet and see their teacher's face and talk to their teacher has just been such an advantage that I can't imagine if our district were not one-to-one. That being said, we also know that there are students that don't have internet and have issues in that regard, but I believe the majority of students have been able to utilize that to still stay connected with their teachers, even though it's not the same, not as good as being in that classroom with them. Thank goodness we have that. So thank you for your support over the years in regard to technology. I know Craig and Brian have worked really hard to make sure those machines are up and running, and that's been very, very big for us here at the high school. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Tammy. That's all the hard work that you do and everyone's doing right now. It's above and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Okay, moving on. We're going to be considering the approval of the district plan to close out 2019-2020 school year. And that plan, Casey, do you want to talk about that, or Tammy?
Yeah, I'll start anyway.
Okay.
So you see several things on here. First, it's been mentioned, we are staying with the, for our continuous learning plan, we're staying with voluntary enrichment education opportunities. And before we really, there's two big chunks of work right now, and that's wrapping up this school year. And then we know by July 1st, we have to have a return to learn plan in place. We haven't really gotten into our return to learn plan yet. So what you have here in front of you is really about wrapping up this school year. So in terms of continuous learning, our plan is to stay with voluntary enrichment education opportunities. You can see that that'll continue through most of May. And teachers can give feedback to students, and we encourage them to do that. But it isn't in the form of a grade. So just so you know that. Speaking of grades, though, how are we handling the end of the year and grades that students will receive? It's probably mostly an issue at the high school, but then middle school, it is an issue as well, but just maybe not at the same level. And you can see what our plan is here is that we will use the third quarter grade. We were not quite done with the third quarter, but we were close. And so we will use that for the second semester. Students would have the opportunity at the high school would have the option of receiving a pass, fail, or incomplete. And so where possible, we will provide students who were failing at the end of the third quarter or failing when we left school, the opportunity we had just had conferences, remember? And so a lot of, parents came in and met with teachers, and they had a plan to go back and work with their child on, and so to get that grade up. And so it's, we'll accept some of that work and consider it as we're finalizing those grades. Pass, fail, or incomplete will not count on the student's grade point average. So, you can kind of see the trend here of we're trying to not cause somebody to go backwards. We're really trying to prevent that as much as possible. Now at
not
the middle
punitive.
school, oh, go ahead.
No, so you just don't want to be punitive about the grades, the scores.
Right. Middle school students will receive a pass-fail grade, and they've got a plan with some more details there, but overall they would receive a pass-fail grade. And then our elementary, that's not on there, but they have a more of a standards-based reporting report card, and which it actually lends itself pretty well to situations like this. But and they'll communicate with parents where their child was, when we left school.
Yeah, and just because we printed off the report cards because they are standard based. So the teachers, when they met with the parents, actually shared this is where your child is, this is what he or she needs to work on or whatever, and giving feedback to them. So while it was not planned, it worked out well. We still have to go in, teachers have to go in and get report cards for those students who the teachers did not meet with those parents. And we're planning on, as soon as the teachers can get back in the room, they will insert those in envelopes so we can send those rather than have a pickup at school and it get lost in a bag or something. So we will send those explicitly out to parents and let them know where the child ended at the end of the third quarter. So those are maybe 25 to 30 kids. That's about it. So.
Okay.
Casey, regarding the grades, so what's going to happen if, like, you have a high schooler, they are going to get the semester grade, the semester grade is going to be the third quarter grade, is that correct? Or they can choose to have pass or fail?
It'll be, we're only going to give a pass fail.
So their third semester, their grade that they had in the quarter doesn't do anything for high school. They'll just get pass or fail for the second semester. Is that correct?
Or they can choose an incomplete. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the middle school will have the third quarter grade that was there, but then the fourth quarter grade will be pass fail.
I believe that they're doing the same thing. They're using that third quarter grade and using it on a pass fail basis as well.
Okay. So the only grades that you'll see on the report card are for high school is the first semester, and for all the other grades would be the first and second semester then?
Yeah, first and second semester, or first semester would be as it's already been, the first quarter, second quarter, and then second semester is just going to be a pass fail grade. And of course we got to work on we are working on the logistics of making that work in Infinite Campus right now. And it would not, so it will not negatively, your grade point average is going to kind of stay as it is. That pass fail is not going to have an impact on that.
I talked to Mr. McCartan today about the Infinite Campus situation, and he said, of course, they are inundated with the same type of phone call because most districts are going this route, and he expects to hear from them hopefully this week, so that when the pass fail is input into Infinite Campus, it does not factor into GPA or negatively impact. Throughout this entire time, that's the message we received from the Department of Education, which is why they waived some graduation requirements and different things like that. So that's why we're going this route.
Thank you for clarifying that.
In terms of, oh, yep, go ahead, Dwayne.
I just have a question. This is, thanks for the update on the grades and everything, but kind of for the seniors, for those that are getting any honors, recognition, awards, like the Blue Cords, scholarships being awarded, how is that? Because I'm not aware of how's that being handled for that information to get one to the kids, two, possibly to have some public acknowledgement of their achievements.
That's a great question, Dwayne. As far as the scholarships, Dennis is working on that. In regard to Silver Cord, honor cords, National Honor Society. We will definitely have those published. And I've also, once we get our caps and gowns in and are ready to distribute those, I kind of have that figured out too. We will include all of those cords and medallions and things within the packet for those students at that time. And but as far as I can't give you any specificity on it right now, just simply because we don't have that part quite figured out yet. But we are intending to do that.
Okay.
And you are 1000% correct. That is so very important, that those students receive recognition. And we are blessed to have, you know, the radio station is working with us. The newspaper does such a nice job of working with us. Tiger Vision. So we'll make certain that that happens. Once we have a solid plan, we will certainly let you know.
Had they done the awards for like the winter sports yet prior to the school dismissing? Or like the 16th of March date?
We, that one, we ended up, I think Randy ended up with the banquets, he usually handed the awards out. We did not have those. And so I think the awards just got, if they haven't, they're probably, we'll get them distributed if we haven't already. He might have
Okay.
mailed.
I just was thinking with regards to, you know, when we get to the point where we can say, hey, here's some of the recognition that if some kids made, you know, first string, second string in those sports, that they get, again, kind of pulled into that. If we, you know, whatever we put together just to try to grab that acknowledgement as well.
All conference and those kind of things, those meetings occurred and those were announced for winter sports. But the lettering and stuff like that, kids still lettered, and we got that out. And it's my understanding from Randy that the conference decided they are lettering kids for the spring semester. So or spring sports, sorry.
Okay.
So we are doing that in alignment with the conference.
Okay. Very good.
So graduation is the big thing. We've spent a lot of time on this, honestly, and we could probably continue to spend a lot of time on it, and we will. But just trying to come up with some idea. We've kind of been all over the board. I feel like we've got a pretty good handle on what other schools are doing in our neck of the woods, and also in our athletic conference and AEA. But where we're at right now is what we are proposing is that we would hold our graduation on May 24th, which is the original date that was set to be held. We're still kind of making some final plans, but it would likely be it would be a combination of a virtual ceremony and also I don't know what the right word is, but a parade or an event where kids would come to the high school in their cars, their families in their cars, and we would distribute diplomas. And again, we're working on the details of that in terms of, you know, picture opportunities and those kind of things. And then, you know, handle that once they got their diploma, they would go on home or whatever they had planned after that. We feel like that we wanted to try to come up with a solution that still it was special to some degree. But we're also, I would tell you that we are working with the mindset that we're not going to be able to, in the month of May, and we don't think in the month of June, be able to have a gym full of people to have a graduation reception.
No.
And so we talked about moving it to June, later in June, and have a ceremony to the degree we could. And we know that we would miss some kids if we move it back. We know we got some military commitments, and there's probably some other things as well. And so for that reason, we do feel like it's best to stay on that May 24th date rather than go into June. And so The radio, there's an option with the radio station to be able to play a ceremony over the radio that folks could listen to in their cars, and then they would have everything reading off the names and some different pieces of the ceremony that we normally have, and then we would move into that situation where in front of the high school a kid would pull up and get their diploma. We've talked about that just being, we hand the diploma, and we've also talked about it being a thing if a family chooses where they can step out and get a picture, get back in the car and then go, and then the next one comes up. So again, we're working on some final details, but we kind of wanted to give you the framework from which we're working within. So any comments or questions about graduation at this point?
Have you gotten any feedback or ideas from the students, the seniors, on how they feel about that?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, Annika, because if you thought I get stressed out when I'm planning a traditional graduation ceremony, this one has really pushed me to the limit. And so the day that the governor closed school for the remainder of the school year, I just almost panicked. And it took me over the weekend to realize, now wait a minute, I have a graduation committee. Every year I form a graduation committee right at the beginning of the school year, and it's made up of a group of seniors that are nominated by the teachers to plan the graduation ceremony. And they do things such as, they pick the speaker out, they pick the motto, they pick the music, all different sorts of things. So I thought, that's what I need to do. I need to talk to these students. And I will tell you that in all of the chaos, they would like something as normal as possible. The last thing they want to do is push it forward with the risk of it having to be canceled or changed. And this came right off of the heels of their spring sports season being canceled. And so I listened to their thoughts, and at this time I hadn't spent much time talking about it with the principals in our conference, so I wasn't aware of how they were going to approach it. So we talked a lot with the seniors, and they told me how they felt, and I appreciated their input, and I told them how sorry I was that we weren't able to probably do what we had normally done, but that they would be the graduation that I would for sure remember because of this situation. And then came the conversation we started having with the Raccoon River principals, who are also, you have to think about your own district and the unique characteristics of it and what's within our control. And here we're trying to make decisions based on uncertain times, not knowing if we moved it, like Dr. Burlaw said, to June, would we even be able to have it? We're pretty much sure that we wouldn't be able to. So then what? And if we can create any sense of normalcy, that would be to let the students have their graduation on the day they were supposed to have it. And so I have been so pleasantly, I've just been pleased with people that have reached out. I've been in contact with the radio station, and they are willing to work with a pre-recorded ceremony and some different ideas that we have for making that happen. I was over here in the parking lot one day last week, walking off the parking spaces, making sure we had adequate ones that we would have people social distanced. I've got a map all figured out of where people would park, how they would process through the line. I'm working with a photographer, hoping that that can happen. I'm working with the Carroll County Department of Public Health. I've called the Iowa Department of Public Health because we really honestly don't know if we can even, if kids can even get out of cars to get a picture taken, if we can all be in the parking lot at the same time. We don't know the answers to that yet. So please know that we are working as hard as we can to make certain that the students know how much we do care about them and we want to honor them. And we also understand that they do have concerns about graduation, but they have so many other concerns too. I talked to one senior student who said, Mrs. McKenzie, I hope that I'm able to be in my dorm room in the fall for college. And so these are things we need to help give some closure. And the longer we keep putting things off, the harder that is for families to do. I think that the time that has passed has allowed everyone to understand that because there are so many things that are out of our control, just keep pushing things forward isn't going to necessarily fix anything. And so it has certainly pushed somebody who, in my opinion, I thought I was a very out of the box thinker and very creative. It's certainly pushed me to have to try to develop a plan with a lot of constraints. So our goal is to have the kids be together in the form that we can, honor them for all of their incredible accomplishments, and try to make it a memorable day for them. And have them understand that if they can, as I said, no one will ever forget the class of 2020.
Yeah.
Their graduation and their end of the year. We won't forget them. And not that I forget any other class, because every class is special to me, but my heart hurts for them. And so we're going to try as hard as we can to do the best that we can for them.
I appreciate all you're doing. I know it can't be easy. And like you said, I'm just to keep pushing things forward and not have an idea. I mean, I appreciate you having an idea, but knowing you might have to be flexible. So thank you for all of your work.
Yep, you're welcome. And I haven't been doing it by myself. I've had lots of support. Dr. Burlaw and I have done impromptu meetings just to try to talk things out. And I'm feeling pretty good right now. I'm just waiting for the stamp of approval by the Department of Public Health. And I'm really not sure how that's going to go. I hope it works out.
Is there a date that they're going to get back with you, Tammy, or you just don't know?
I just got an email about an hour before I came. I've had good luck. Mrs. McCartan has been helping me facilitate conversation through our Carroll County Department of Public Health. And she's going to do everything she can to try to get our answers for us as soon as she can. So I wouldn't be surprised if I hear yet this week.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I know the Department of Education has been inundated with graduation questions too. So it's new for them too. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like that you have a plan, though. I'm so happy to hear this. And thank you for all your hard work, and thank you to the committee. And I'm just happy to hear that there's a plan.
Yeah, we have such amazing kids here. I got one email from a senior, please, Mrs. McKenzie, don't cancel graduation. And, it was never, ever my intention. And so I appreciated the help from the principals in the Raccoon River Conference. When I first heard one of the schools said, yes, we're going to do a parking lot graduation, I thought, what? How would you do that? And then all of a sudden I thought, you know what? That's a brilliant idea. So it's too bad it's not about 25 years ago and we didn't still have the movie or the drive-in movie theater. You could do something there, but we don't have that anymore. So, but how nice for them at least to be in their parking lot at their school. And so we'll see. We're working on it. We're working on it. So we'll keep you posted.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
If you continue down on that document, most of these aren't quite as pressing, but a couple of things I want to point out. We do have the issue that we have classrooms with student items in them still. And so we are kind of waiting to see if it's possible that we can have families come in and empty their child's desk or locker out. We'll do that. it's looking like it might end up being more of a, we have to do that and put them in bags and then have folks come pick them up. But anyway, we'll get that finalized, but we'll be able to accomplish that. It's not going to be a huge thing. Same with returning laptops. We'll do that in conjunction with emptying out the classrooms. However we work that, we'll have a time where folks bring their laptops and turn them in so they can be cleaned and all that stuff for over the summer for next year. Grab and go lunch is just, this is kind of new. In fact, Sarah just called, up to the office at like 5 o'clock here. Grab and go meals, they've extended that through June 30th. So the grab and go is what we're doing right now. Typically in the summer, around in June, we have our summer lunch program where kids come here to Adams and they eat in our lunchroom. And so we can't do that still. And so they're extending that through June 30th. And then after that, we're hopeful and we think it's quite possible that we'll be able to just have the month of July to do the traditional summer lunch program. And then there wouldn't be anything in August is kind of what it's looking like. We are serving a lot. I think there were over 1,000 here today, and over 600 at Kemper today. So I mean, those meals we're serving a lot of meals on Mondays and Wednesdays in the community. So
Casey,
yeah,
I pick up for 2 kids whose parents can't get there, and that is a well-oiled machine.
yeah,
I am so impressed with. It's a lot of work. It is just
Yeah.
a lot of work, and there they are, and I know they're smiling under those masks.
yeah, yeah.
I'm just very impressed with the whole thing.
Yeah, we have a heck of a crew they come every day, and we got some volunteers that help. And there were a couple rough times just with the traffic flow and stuff, but it's running pretty smooth now, and so we're really appreciative of our staff for the work they've done there. And then teacher checkout, again, same thing. If it's possible that we can bring our staff in on May 26th for professional development, we'll do that. Otherwise, we'll do it virtually. That's kind of our plan there. So those are kind of the big chunks for wrapping up the school year. And so we wanted to kind of get that out to the board. And then like we've talked, a couple of these things, there's still a few details to work out, but what you have here is pretty much the big picture plan. And so once we get a couple, like on graduation, we know that it's going to be, if it's okay with public health, and we'll start communicating the details, timelines, all that with families.
That's great. Any questions? Any more comments? No. Casey, do you want to approve this plan and have it, I guess, a motion to approve this?
I think that'd be good.
Okay. Anyone like to make a motion to approve the district plan?
I make a motion.
Then I'll second.
Okay. I've motioned, she's second. Does that work?
Yep. I think we got it.
Is Gary there?
Yep.
Karen,
Yes.
Annika,
Yes,
Cindy,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Dwayne,
Dwayne?
He wasn't.
Yes,
Oh, there.
I muted myself, sorry.
That's all right. Okay, moving on. Moving on to the AEA purchasing agreement for food services. And not quite yet, Casey.
Gary, is this something you want to talk about, or?
I can.
This is an agreement that we have participated in for a number of years. And so this would just be a continuation for next year. What this basically is that the AEA they bid out food products, and then we in turn are able to participate under that bid. I would say that most school districts do this. Some of the very large school districts, they do their own bidding on food items. But the time and effort that would be involved in that is just too much for a school our size. So we're recommending that we approve this again for the upcoming school year.
We've been doing this in the past, right, Gary?
Yes, for a number of years.
Okay, thank you.
I'll move we approve the AEA purchasing agreement for the 2021 year.
I'll second it.
Annika,
Yes,
Cindy,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Wayne,
Yes.
Karen.
Yes. All right. Next, we're going to be considering the shared transportation director agreement with Glidden and Ralston.
Yeah, I talked to the superintendent, Craig Lynch, talked to Jeff Cullen, and Glidden's in favor of continuing it. Jeff was fine continuing it. And so this is the same agreement that we've had in place this year, and we're bringing it forward with the recommendation of approval for next year. I should say, we do get operational sharing for this. And so just a reminder, you probably remember how that works, but so it's an 80-20 agreement. So Glidden pays 20% of the salaries and salary, but we also, each district does generate a revenue. I think it's equivalent to 3 students for transportation director. So if you took 3 times 7,000, that's, you know, about what it would be in round numbers. So that's kind of a good thing to remember about that operational sharing.
Any other discussion? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move we renew the shared transportation maintenance agreement with Glidden Ralston.
I second.
Oh, actually, I said the wrong one. It's transportation director agreement.
We knew what you meant.
Well, we just took them both in one motion.
Yeah, there you go.
That's pretty good.
Cindy,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Wayne,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Annika.
yes.
All right. Get back to the, all right. This is actually moving us into the shared transportation maintenance agreement with Glidden and Ralston.
Yeah. And so
Okay.
this one's, there's not operational sharing with this, but we work together with Glidden, and then, you know, we end up, our staff and at our facility, maintenance and work is done on the bus fleet at Glidden here. And so it's again, something that Glidden would like to continue. From everything I'm hearing, it's working fine. And so we'd recommend approval on this as well.
Any discussion? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move we approve the shared transportation director agreement with Glidden Ralston.
A second.
Jennifer,
Excuse me. Dwayne, did you just say the transportation maintenance? Because I think we just approved the director.
Right. This is the second one. Yeah, this is a
Yeah.
maintenance agreement.
Okay. Sorry.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Wayne,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Annika,
Yes,
Cindy,
Yes.
All right. Uh, The physical education waiver for 2020, 2021. I noticed that the application says 2018, 2019, but that's obviously something that we do every year. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have for quite a few years anyway. And this one's is attached just because, so you can see what the application looks like. So it's the previous year's application. I went in and the application is just what you see here. And then there's information we have to fill in. And it gives you an idea of how it's been filled out in the past. And you can see it's mostly tied to kids still take PE here. I think they have to take it a semester every year. Tammy's on here. She might be able to add to this, but by doing this waiver, she might not be anymore. By doing this waiver, it does allow kids the ability to take more science and career and technical and those kind of classes. So it's actually something we've got to know. We need to make sure we do this earlier in the school year, but we're fine to still to do it now. But next year we'll have this in like November or so when we have this on the agenda. But yeah, it is something we've done for quite a few years in a row here now.
I'll move to approve the PE waiver.
I second.
Dwayne,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Monica,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
The next item, I think, Casey, are you going to be discussing this, or is Gary with the
Yep,
mass dispensing site location?
yeah. So this this agreement is something that we actually it's not it had been in place before, but there's a new I don't know what the title of her position is, but a new person at the Public Health Department and for Carroll County. And so they, you know, with everything going on, they were reviewing some of their plans for how they could handle an outbreak. And I think this came to her attention, and it was pretty old. The signatures on it and the date, it's probably 10 years old or better. And so she brought it forward. The language is still appropriate. It's just something that we felt like we probably better bring back in front of the board. The other thing too, I'm not sure if it was approved by the board. I had a principal signature on it in the past, and items like this, I think, are best to have the board approve, just because, as you know, the characters change, and if it's in public record, it's best. So really what this is that the school district would work with public health and the hospital to serve as a site where if there was an outbreak and they needed to set up a hospital, so to speak, and needed space, that the school would work with them to provide that.
Thanks for that update. I was reading through this and I saw refrigerators and parking lots and things like this, and wasn't quite sure exactly how this was going to be set up. So that's interesting that they hadn't looked at this in 10 years. So
Mhm.
is there any discussion more about this item? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve the memorandum of understanding for the mass dispensing site location agreement here between Carroll Public Health, St. Anthony Hospital Hospice, and Carroll Community School District High School.
I'll second.
Karen,
Yes.
Monica,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Dwayne,
Yes.
Oops, get it back over here.
Yeah.
The next item is the 2020 graduates. We need to address the graduation requirements for the Carroll Community School District. I would assume that Casey or Tammy are going to address this one. You're muted, Casey. You're muted.
Sorry.
That's right.
Sorry. Yeah, I think, I don't have, they're not, the graduates aren't linked on there, are they?
I didn't see that. I saw it one place, but I didn't see it on there.
It's on the printed out one.
So their names?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it
Okay.
somewhere. Yeah,
Oh, they're listed. Yeah, that's right. We don't have a, I think if we scroll down, here they are, right here. Here's our list. So yeah, just like if we were still in school and a normal year, we bring the graduates to the board for approval. And of course, we do it at our April meeting, and there's still some school year left. And so of course it's pending that they meet the graduation requirements. This year is a little unique in that later in the agenda, as you know, the governor has taken action to suspend requirements, and then we're going to take an action as well. And so the requirements aren't, it's not quite the same, I guess. Now, there could be some kids on this list that are there's still some things they've got to do. The action taken by the governor to suspend graduation requirements, that doesn't mean that everybody just automatically gets a free pass. If a student was prior to the closure of schools due to the virus, if there were issues that were going to get in the way of graduation, those don't automatically go away. What we're saying later for these kids that you see in front of you is that because we're not in school, we're not going to say you can't graduate because maybe there's something in the second semester that you didn't get done. But this is our list of kids, and there could be some kids that are doing some things through credit recovery or something. But we're recommending approval of these students for graduation in next month.
Casey, do you know how many there are? What the number is?
About 115 or something.
Okay, thanks.
50.
115?
15, yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse
I'll
me.
move to approve the 2020 graduates.
And I'll second.
Hanukkah,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Dwayne,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes. Okey-dokey. Athletic sharing agreements. Girls swimming.
Yep. Last month, I think we had a few sharing agreements on, and we didn't have all our communication done with the schools with these that you see in front of you, but that has all taken place, and we're good to move forward with girls swimming. We're the host. Boys swimming, we're the host, and we have several partners. Wrestling with IKM Manning. And then boys cross country, Kemper's the host school. Boys tennis, Kemper's the host school. And then girls cross country and girls tennis, Kemper is the host school. And that's Carroll and Kemper sharing those programs.
Can we have a motion as one to approve all of the sharing agreements? Or do we have to spell them out each one? What would be better?
Yeah, you can do them all in one.
Okay.
I'll move to approve the athletic sharing agreements as mentioned.
I'll second.
Cindy,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Dwayne,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Annika.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Now we have to go do some updates for job descriptions. Teacher, librarian, associate is the first one on the agenda.
Yeah, this is a position that we had a retirement. We have a retirement at the end of the year, and so Sue and Crystal and Natasha Adams, our librarian, they reviewed this job description, and we're recommending the changes that you see, eliminating number 5, and then adding 7 and 8. And then under evaluation, it still referenced the negotiated agreements, and we replace that with employee handbook.
I'll move to approve the librarian or teacher, librarian, associate job description.
I'll second.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Dwayne,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Monica,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Next, we move into the before and after school program director approval. This is a new position.
Yep. Last month, we didn't have a job description for you. Gave permission to pursue that, but we said we'd get a job description ready. We've looked at some samples, and we've made a job description that format-wise looks similar to our other job descriptions. Each one of the schools that we've looked at, there's something unique. So we had to make things fit our circumstances. We did, the other thing linked here is the Iowa DHS Child Care Center licensing regulations. And we just included that just so you can see that, there are some things that we're looking for in this position that are necessary for that DHS approval process of the program. And so that's why that's included. But yeah, I don't know if Sue's on too, if you.
Yeah.
So any questions about that?
The one point I want you to know about, Jen and I went to Urbandale and Grimes, Grimes, last fall to look at sites, and we were thinking this would require expansion, but the way Urbandale handles it is they use their facilities. So we have a room in our preschool pod that we can use as a classroom. We can use halls. We can use the other pod, kindergarten pod. So if we take advantage of our facilities, it cuts our costs down, and we take, create that environment, starting out with that one classroom, but making sure students could go to the playground, doing those outside activities. So that's a very good deal when you can use your own school space to cover, as a cost savings for a school district.
I'll move to approve the before and after school program director job description.
Second.
Dwayne,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Monica,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Next, we're moving into the pandemic resolution regarding the suspension of graduation. kind of correlates with what we were just, speaking about. And
I do want to point out, I need to touch this before it got sent out, but the next two items, really, this resolution's taking care of those. So if you approve this resolution, there's no reason to take actions on the next two items.
That's great.
So, yeah, anyway, so you can see what we're doing here. The governor, she has issued that proclamation, that temporarily suspended provisions in Iowa law requiring curriculum standards and completion of specific units of credit for completion for this year's class. In talking with our attorney, he recommended that we pass this resolution. Just sometimes schools have different things in their graduation requirements than a school can go above and beyond the state requirements. And so just to be safe, suspending policy 508 and 224 is our policy on suspension of policy, which shows you that you have the ability to suspend policy. This resolution would do that, would suspend our graduation requirements. So anything that would be above and beyond state requirements, the board is saying for the class of 2020, those are suspended.
okay, would you like someone to read this resolution and then have an approval that way? Casey, just to have it on record?
That's probably the best practice.
Okay. Hold on just-
I'd be
the
willing
volume.
to read it, Karen.
Super. Go right ahead.
Okay. All right, where do I start? At the whereases?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Whereas on April 10th, 2020, Governor Reynolds issued a proclamation of disaster emergency, temporarily suspending the provisions in Iowa law requiring curriculum standards and completion of specific units of credit for completion of a high school program of study to the extent such provisions would hinder Iowa school districts in assisting the Iowa high school graduating class of 2020 in completing a course of study during this I don't know where I got that, during this disaster emergency. Whereas District Policy 508 graduation requirements sets out the courses students must successfully complete in order to graduate, which are based upon the provisions in Iowa law requiring the completion of specific units of credit for completion of a high school program of a student, which Governor Reynolds has temporarily suspended for the graduating class of 2020. Whereas District Policy 224, suspension of policy, provides that the board may, in extreme emergencies of a very unique nature, suspend policy, and further provides that it is within the discretion of the board to determine an extreme emergency of a very unique nature exists. Whereas the board has determined that present circumstances constitute an extreme emergency of a very unique nature, which provide adequate and appropriate grounds to suspend District Policy 508 graduation requirements for the graduating class of 2020. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the provisions of District Policy 508 graduation requirements are suspended for the graduating class of 2020.
Thank you, Cindy. Is there a motion to approve this?
Just need a second.
Okay.
I'll second.
Karen,
Yes.
Annika,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Dwayne,
Yes.
And so that resolution then suspended 508, 555 doesn't need suspended.
Just want to table any action on those two then?
5, just item M.
Yes,
Yeah, you we're not taking action on that. I think Mary put that on there because I sent those 2 policies
okay,
plus our suspension of policy to our attorney, and that way he could review any policies related to graduation. So that's the deal there.
okay. So you want to move on to N?
Yep.
Agreement for joint use of soccer fields at the Carroll Middle School site.
So there's the agreement. There's one thing I wanted to mention. I'm in communication with the city on, there's the map. You can see the fields. We have them numbered. Field number 11 is referenced in the sharing agreement. It's mentioned specifically. We did meet with the city, myself and Jeff Dvorak and Randy Beeson, because we have Mike McCaffrey retiring and the city had some change in staff. And so we thought it was good to get everybody in the same room and talk about this. So one thing that's not in here, and I'm communicating with the city on this right now. So is it's my understanding is that we, in the past couple of years, there's been, because the parking's an issue up there, we had communicated with the city that they needed to have a parking attendant, because it gets pretty crowded and congested and park on both sides, and it's a hazard. And so I'm talking with them about that. I think we can go ahead and still approve this agreement, and then we'll get something in place to make sure that everybody's in agreement and understanding on the parking attendant.
Okay, Casey, I just have one question with regards, I guess it relates to the agreement, but at what point in time are they gonna be allowed, or who's gonna make the decision as far as allowing, the Department of Health, I guess, for playing soccer? And
Well,
does this agreement cater, do we need an agreement that caters to that? I guess it probably, I don't know that it would, but I guess it's just, this program could be up to some modification if they extend. So I'm thinking some of these soccer programs start pretty early, right after schools, pretty shortly.
yeah, right now our facilities are closed until further notice. And so as of right now, we're not planning to have them be used for that. Now, if something changes and while rec centers, I think can open, there's still some guidelines there, and that the social or the group gatherings larger than 10 still exist. And so
Yeah,
I think we'd be on the same page there. This is kind of just more on the use of the field and who's going to do what,
right.
that kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
But our springs, for us, spring sports have been canceled, so there is no soccer for us.
Yeah.
But the city programs, right. And I don't know if they do any fall soccer or not. I don't remember. I'm not sure, but I know
I
that.
have- I have good authority, no,
No, okay.
no fall, no
I think it's
fall.
isn't that flag football in the fall?
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah, no, that's good. It's a good place for the kids to run.
Yeah.
So I have I'm sorry,
Oh, good.
question. So when you talked about the city providing something about the parking, is that on their nickel or on our nickel, or is there no nickels involved?
There's always nickels involved.
Well, that's what I thought.
I think that's the piece that we'll be talking about. I think that they provided it in the past as
Okay,
their own. And then if we have an event, which with the stadium, we don't hold as many spectator events up there as we used to.
mhm.
And so, but if we would, then we would have our own parking attendant there.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that in my head.
In the past, we had paid, of course, for our parking attendant, but the city took care of theirs. Why this came about, Cindy, is just safety and being able to get ambulances or a fire truck in there. you've probably been past there when they have
Oh.
the events and both, they park even underneath the no parking sign, they'll park on both sides.
I know, it's awful.
Yeah, and so we had made the change a couple years ago that it was for elderly and handicap parking, and then we diverted all the other traffic over to the middle school parking lot.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for the background, Jen.
Any discussion? Any more questions? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the agreement for the joint use of the soccer fields?
I'll move we approve the joint use of soccer fields located at the Carroll Middle School site.
I'll second.
Annika,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Dwayne,
Yes.
Karen.
Yes. Okay, business report. Gary, you're up.
Okay. In your packet, toward the back, there is a 2-page handout that says, yeah, Casey's got it up on the screen there.
Yeah.
I usually do this when we get our audit back, just some items that I find interesting. If you'll notice at the top there, it says ending fund balances. And you can see that in the general fund, our ending fund balance was actually up about 6.7%. Management fund, we were up about 9.6%. And then the other one of note is the student activity fund. We were actually down about 15.5%. Now, the student activity fund looks better this year, and we can talk about that in a little bit. The next table there, I always find this interesting. This is the general fund revenues, and it's actually the percent of the total. So if you look over on the fourth column where it says percent of total, you'll notice that of our general fund revenues, local taxpayers made up 42.97% of our total general fund. And so total local sources was right at 50%. Then the remaining money came from state sources of about 46.65%, and then federal sources that made up about 3.3%. If you'll go down to the bottom of that page, before you had to have a heart attack, I just about did. That last graph or table there, those columns are transposed. We didn't overspend the budget. So where it says difference, those are all negative numbers. Those are actually the right number. They're just positive instead of negative. So when we were getting ready for the board meeting, I looked at that and thought, what in the world? Well, they were just transposed. So if you
Gary, what do you mean by transposed?
On the back, this is only general fund revenues and expense, but the top table kind of gives you some detail on our revenues. And you'll notice that overall, our revenues in the general fund from last year were down about 1%. And then at the bottom, you'll see our expenditures, and they were up about 4.2%. But again, overall, we still increased our funding balance, our ending balance by about 500,000. Then on the last page, you'll notice it's highlighted in yellow. That is the one finding that we had in the audit this year. It says, we noted an instance of the district being subjected to sales tax on a purchase made with a district credit card. As the district is a tax exempt entity, payment of sales tax does not appear to meet the requirements for public purpose as defined by the Attorney General opinion stated April 25th, 1979. Then their recommendation is that the district should review its procedures in place and make any necessary adjustments to ensure the district avoids payment of sales tax to comply with the Attorney General's opinion. And then we responded back and said, the district has reviewed its procedures and has increased scrutiny of all transactions to avoid payment of sales tax. I don't recall off the top of my head what the vendor was. We rarely use credit cards for purchasing items. Typically, if we do, it would be something from Amazon or a vendor that does not take a purchase order. And so it was a transaction that fell into that category. So, but other than that, there were no comments in the audit, so, or no findings.
It's very good, Gary.
Congrats.
So what we're recommending is that we have a motion to approve and file the audit.
Any more discussion on this? Anybody
Hey,
like?
Gary, would you clarify, you said that transpose on those expenditures, the actual versus budget, you know, where it showed a
Yes.
negative 2
Yes.
million?
What that is, is the one that is the larger numbers, that was what we certified for our budget for 18-19. That was what was published in the paper. And that's why you have the 4 categories there. Then the smaller number would be what we actually spent in those 4 categories. And so, for example, in instruction, which is the bulk of our expenditures, we underspent what we published by $488,000.
Okay, all right.
So,
Okay.
All right, thank you. Well, I'll move that we accept the audit as report that came back here.
I second.
Cindy,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Dwayne,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Annika.
Yes.
Moving on to capital outlay. Sue, is this where you want to chime in and talk about this, or with the K-5 math curriculum? You read it again?
Yeah, here I am.
Oh,
I don't believe, did you get a copy of the proposal for Into Math? There it is up there. Good.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we began this process at Christmas time. We had 5 series that we explored. 3 of them, well, 2 of them were online, and the third one was, you know, almost as old as our current Go Math series. So we eliminated it down to 2. We got down to 2 series, 2 programs, and one was the Houghton Mifflin Into Math, and the other was Everyday Math 4. And so on February 14th, after reviewing the materials, we brought reps in from both companies to share the product, and our entire staff was present, the teachers of math, special ed and general ed. That was on the 17th. We were a bit divided after that, maybe around March 1st. And then it was the lower grades wanted one series, and the upper grades, of course, wanted a different series. The lower grades liked the Friday game day. And I told them, well, you know, if it's a game day or something, after you work with this for a year and you think you need something additional, we can get it. But really the upper grades, 2nd or through 5th grade, really felt like it was a solid program to go from Go Math to Into Math, and felt like the level of rigor had been raised in that. So the proposal that we're proposing, and we did come to consensus on the Into Math, and we can actually order it and get it before June 30th if we want to, you know, even do some PD with it. But you will note that the cost, maybe each grade level has a cost, and all the materials that comes with it. It's a 6-year agreement Go Math was a 7-year agreement, but I'm okay with the 6-year agreement. It works out really slick to order the materials, and we just kind of, like in the past with Journeys and those other Go Math, you know, just you have your pool, you can get more at kindergarten, and depending on where your student population is, you can rotate those numbers through to make it work. In the end, if you turn to page, the last page, the proposal on page 10 of 11, page 10, then you'll notice that the entire cost is $136 or $136,476.42. And it was up about, I got $10,000 more off of this like a couple of weeks ago, because I think he was tired of dealing. I was going to start cutting some things, and he said, "Okay, I'm just taking 10,000 off for you." And so we
Good
really,
girl.
and yeah, I know, it's really kind of, I was feeling good.
Oh,
So we
that's not
saved
good.
from the proposal at the end of March to today or whatever last week, we saved $22,050. Just with a little persistence there on my part, and I feel good about that. So
Yeah.
anyway, I think it's a good solid math series. We had that math class in May, end of May or beginning of June last year, where the teachers really, I felt like when they were looking at the math series, they were really looking at like, how do we close the gaps? How do we build rigor into the math series? So I feel confident this will be a good program for them for the next 6 years. And then of course, we'll change it up again. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, so did you have the middle school teachers, meaning the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade teachers, math teachers, look at it to make sure that
We did not. It was kind of in this mess. We were kind of almost caught in the mess, but 5th grade did participate. They had their math instructors, but I did
Okay.
not, no. I think we were kind of in this kind of goofy spot and actually made the final decision after the 12th of March, so.
Okay.
And Sue, this is Karen.
Yeah,
I see it says that the Into Math is an updated copyright of Go Math, so it's the same type of program.
it is. It's just from the same company. It
Company,
is
okay.
not actually Everyday Math. When we looked at that, the math book was the same as the earlier copyright. The changes were in the teacher's manual. This is definitely the same series, but it's been upgraded with the rigor,
Okay,
closing the gaps. It's much more strenuous, much more.
more content.
Yes, it's very much more, the teachers felt right away, especially at those, grades, 2nd or 3rd through 5th grade, felt like that was going to stretch the students, and they were actually liked the way the instruction had changed. Or it's just, the fact is, it's not a continuation, it's just the same company, or by the same company, so.
Thank you.
No, but I needed to clarify that, thank you.
And did we have this budgeted? Does this fall within our budget, Gary?
Yeah, you'll be fine. This is one of the reasons that we charge a textbook fee, and we also have, a pretty good balance there in the general fund, and this is one of those things that you don't mind spending money on. So, yeah, this won't be a problem.
Well, I'll move to approve the new math series Into Math for 2020 for a total of $136,476.42.
Second?
I'll second.
Dwayne or somebody.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Dwayne?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Monica?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
And
Yeah,
you know what?
sure.
Can I opt out now that I finished my part?
We're almost done. You might as well
I
stay.
know, well, I got 2 more meetings. I want to savor this, kind of spread out the joy. Okay.
Love seeing you, Sue.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye-bye.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Right. Moving on. We're getting close. Moving on to the next item. Again, this is about replacing carpet at the CMS hallways. We had bids, 3 different bids.
Yeah. We talked to you, I think you knew that we were looking at doing this, or looking at flooring out there. We did have a discussion about carpet versus another type of flooring. We do have in front of you tonight carpet bids. And a lot that, I think some of that's what's been there, but also when you think about the noise level and some of that kind of stuff, that is kind of why we move forward with getting quotes on carpet. But you see, we got Pringer Furniture for $15,976, and what we're looking at is at the middle school. Sorry, the middle school in the hallway. The hallways, especially when you walk in, those of you that have been out there, it's needing addressed. So we got that. We got from Peterson Flooring, 18,621, and from Carpet One, 17,376.
And are all the bids exactly the same? Did Jeff look over the specs of them?
Yeah, yes, he did.
I enjoy the name, Take a Trip. I assume that's the name of the carpet?
Like a magic carpet ride.
Yeah, I kind of thought about that, yeah.
And will it be all the hallways at the middle school, Casey?
I think it is, yes.
It's very needed.
Yeah. So it is, and that the carpet's been there. I think it's the original carpet, and so.
Wow.
22 years.
Yeah.
Does Jeff have a recommendation for any particular one, Casey?
Did he say anything to you, Gary, about a recommendation?
He said Pringers.
Assuming the Pringers one.
Yeah, I think that's the one that
Okay,
he didn't give me reason not to take the low bid.
okay,
So
okay. That's what I was just wondering. Any more?
and you do notice real quick before you,
Okay.
it is the carpet tile. So,
I like that.
yeah, so you can replace, that's different than what's out there now. So,
I think we talked about that. I was hoping that's what that was.
yep.
Mhm.
Great idea. Anybody want to make a motion?
I will. I move that we go with Pringers for carpet for the middle school corridors. Is that a good enough?
I
Want
think
to
so.
say the price?
The price.
Price?
At the price. Oh, yeah. I'm talking to you guys on my cell phone. I probably shouldn't have done that because it's hard to find prices. Pringer, for a price of $15,976.27.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jan.
Dwayne,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Monica,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Next item, budget update reports. I was going to let Gary have a breath here. I would imagine he needs to address this.
Did those get linked at all? Do you know? Okay. Well, there was a little bit of a mix-up today, and it was my fault. I got these to Mary at about 10 after 11. I didn't realize she left at 11. So I will email these to you after the board meeting. But I can just summarize them real quickly. The one that I usually give you where there's a number of different colors on it. That one compares what we have spent so far year to date to what we published in the newspaper, our certified budget. We're doing fine there. There shouldn't be any problems.
looking forward.
And then the other one that is probably more important is how we are doing compared to our line item budget.
There again, you can start to notice that expenditures are starting to slow down a little bit. We're still paying salaries, but there's a lot of other things that we're not expending money for. You really notice it in activity fund, where we had trouble in that fund the last couple of years. But right now, in that fund, our revenues are 283,000. Our expenditures are 275. And that probably won't change much, from now until the end of the year. You also notice a little bit in food service that both our expenditures and revenues are down a little bit. This grab and go, I'm not sure we've even received revenues from that yet. We filed our first report, I know, request for reimbursement, but I'm not sure we've received that yet. But I will get these in your mailbox, and you can take a look at them. If you have any questions, just feel free to contact me.
Thank you, Gary. Do we need to make any kind of movement on this, or just wait till we see it and make a motion next meeting?
Yeah, no, we don't, no motion needed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on. Anything, announcements, correspondence? No? Any suggestions for the May 18th board meeting?
I think Casey doesn't know he's on mute.
Oh, I didn't see that. You're on mute.
Sorry.
That's right.
So I would mention that it's likely just we'll be in communication with you about it, but it's quite possible we would need a special meeting prior to the May 18th meeting, just as we get wrapped up with our employees, our associations, with negotiations, contracts for next year. But we'll be in touch with you on that, and if anything else would arise, we could have it on that special meeting. I'm hopeful that we can meet maybe in a different, not completely by Zoom next time. You'll notice the superintendent evaluation hasn't been on there. I feel it's not quite as beneficial if we're not able to be in the same room talking. So that's kind of
Yes.
I'm waiting on that. But
Casey, that's due by May 30th?
is it May 30th or is
I
it?
think so.
Yeah.
So when we get, these are unusual circumstances. There's probably something we can do to extend that if we need to, but otherwise, we might just have to go with Zoom. But if we're able to meet in person, we just probably have to knock out the rest of those standards and get it done. But we can talk about that.
Okay. Okay. Is any more discussion for the meeting? Seeing that, is there a motion for adjournment?
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Say
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everybody.
Thanks,
Yeah, thank you
everybody.
so much.
Night, thank you.
Night, everybody.